All right, so welcome back to Train Signal. You're watching the Active Directory Recycling Bin. This is going to be a tool that you're going to come back to over and over and over again. I guarantee it. I mean, this has been a long time coming. What the Active Directory Recycling Bin is, it's a PowerShell solution that's going to help you bring back dead user accounts and even entire organizational units when they get accidentally deleted. Now, of course, we all know that we should be protecting our organizational units and such from accidental deletion, but just in case something weird happens, we can still get them back without having to go through that whole tombstoning process and rebuilding backlinks and yada yada yada. So in this video, we're going to start off by talking about what you have to have in order to make the Active Directory Recycling Bin work, which is the Server 2008 R2 domain functional level. This is a brand new functional level in, of course, Server 2008 R2. Duh, thank you for the blinding flash of the obvious, coach. Along with this course, I'm giving you the Active Directory toolbox scripts that you can use right out of the box in order to enable the Active Directory Recycling Bin and get user accounts back. So this should give you a good, solid start on how to start using this particular functionality. And again, the way that I'm giving you these tools, I think you're really going to appreciate because you can use them now if you have the Server 2008 R2 domain functional level. So let's go ahead and get into it here. The new functional level in town, it has all the features of Server 2008, the functional level, all that good stuff, but it basically just adds the recycling bin. Right? So there's really nothing new other than the recycling bin feature. Now, of course, you know that all your domain controllers, in order to make this happen, they all have to be running Server 2008 R2. You can't have a single Server 2008 machine as a domain controller. Now, you can have Server 2008 machines for file servers, for anything else. You just can't have them as domain controllers, okay? That is the big key to that, and I'm going to show you how to check your domain functional level and forest functional level. We're going to use that new Active Directory Administrative Center that I just showed you in the last video in order to do that, so you might actually remember it, but I'm just going to show it to you again just in case. So as long as that is intact, here's the thing, okay? Along with some new PowerShell stuff. Now, PowerShell is very, very functional. It's very, very powerful. If you start to get your head wrapped around it and start to get to know it, I think you're really going to speed up a lot of stuff. Now, here's the nice thing about Server 2008 R2 and PowerShell. They actually have an integrated script editor, the ISE for short, and you can actually build a set of PowerShell scripts, kind of like a library, and then run whatever scripts that you need line by line by line, because PowerShell, yes, you can build really elaborate scripts in it, but most of the command line stuff, I mean, it's singular commands. So rather than teaching you like all the syntax and everything, I've given you some example scripts we're going to use in this video. I'll show you exactly what to do in order to make all this stuff happen. I'm going to show you how to enable the recycling bin. I'm going to show you how to get user accounts back when they're deleted, and also how to find stuff. Right, so I'm going to give you a heck of a good start. We're going to right now move on over to the server. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to check the functional level of our domain using the Active Directory new whiz-bang that I showed you in the last video. Then, after we ensure that, we're going to install the integrated script editor, so you will know what you need to do in order to make that available to you, so you can turn around and use the script toolbox that I'm giving you with this course right now. Okay, so very cool stuff. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to show you how to use all these scripts, and you're going to find out it's not that hard. If you're kind of a script newbie, don't worry. Okay, a lot of the scripting in terms of PowerShell stuff, you're going to be able to grab quick snippets of code off of Microsoft site, off of other Windows Server sites. You can paste them into the integrated script editor, make some few tweaks, and then turn right around and make them work. Okay, so beautiful things. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm really excited to show you this because I think you're going to get a lot of mileage out of it. Let's bounce on over to the server. All right, so we're getting this party started. You see that we are over here on DC1. That's where we're at right now. This is actually a physical machine in my little mini network here. And I'm going to go ahead and open up the Active Directory Administrative Center. And we're going to double check our functional and force levels here super quick. And I'm just going to go here to the global mantics, and let's see here. I'm just going to hit raise the force functional level. Let's see what that says. Current force functional level, server 2008 R2. Okay, neato. How about the domain functional level? Oh, gee, look. Yeah, that's it too. So we're good, you know. Of course, I only have 2 domain controllers in my test network, and both of them are server 2008 R2. So no big surprise here. But again, remember that if you want to use this Active Directory recycling bin, all your domain controllers have to be server 2008 R2. You don't get exceptions, okay? All right, so now that we've double checked that, let's go ahead and close our Active Directory administrative tool. All right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to install that PowerShell editor. And by the way, I probably should mention this real quick. PowerShell is a scripting language. You probably have seen it bandied about the web here and there. Like, PowerShell this, PowerShell that, it's going to be great. And it is great. I'm not going to kid you. It is great, but it is a scripting language. And if you're not used to writing scripts, or if you don't have much of a programming background, there might be a little bit of a learning curve for you. But the nice thing is that it's not complex scripting. It can be. Yeah, I guess I should say it can be. But for the most part, for the stuff I'm going to show you in this video, you're going to find out it's pretty simplistic. And you're not even going to have to write a script because I'm including the scripts for you. All right, so let's go ahead and here. And the PowerShell editor, by the way, the GUI editor, is here underneath Features. So I'm going to scroll down here in the features, and let's find that Windows PowerShell Integrated Scripting Environment. There we go. That's what we want. So we're going to go ahead and grab a hold of that. I think I might have used the word interactive previously. Just kidding about that. It's integrated, right? ISE. Let's go ahead and hit next and install. And this is going to be a pretty fast install for this one because it's basically an application. It's not nearly as powerful as, say, like the Visual Basic Studio or anything like that, but it's still pretty cool in terms of just day-to-day administrative tasks that we do as administrators. So here it is, Windows PowerShell ISE. If it's not there, it'll be here in your programs, showing up right here on my Start menu. So I'm going to go ahead and click it. All right, so let me give you just a quick tour of the interface here. What's happening with this particular component. Now, of course, we have a standard file menu and where we can actually open up scripts. We're going to be doing that here in just a little bit. An edit menu, which, okay, no big surprise, right? But the Find and Scripts section you might find interesting as you develop your own scripts. In the View section, this is kind of cool. We can actually reconfigure this on the fly in terms of how we're actually seeing this particular window. I'm going to skip to the easy part here. I'm going to skip to the standard interface where we have the script pane on top, the results pane here, and then the standard command line down here. So you can choose how you want to view this. If you like this particular view better, you have your script here, your results pane here, and then your command line right here if you want to type all your stuff in. That's what this is here, by the way. So if you want to get any help or anything like that, as you type in commands in the script in the manual window, you'll get the results here in the results pane. So kind of nifty, yeah? Now what we're going to be looking at in terms of this particular lesson is we're going to be not writing scripts by hand, but I'm going to show you how to use the script mini library that I built for you already. But I think in order to keep things easy, I'm going to go ahead and use the vertical interface just so you can see everything that's happening on the screen all at once in kind of a top to bottom order. All right, so let's go ahead and let's open up this script. And by the way, all these little buttons here, these are all items that you'll find up in the menus. No big surprise, right? So let's go ahead and let's open up our script. I've included this script, by the way, on and with the course. So somewhere on this DVD, you should have this script file. And so we're going to be using this one called Coach's Active Directory Recycling Toolbox Clean. And so let's go ahead and open up. Not that I have a dirty version or anything like that. It's just, I have another version of this same script for the Global Mantics R2 environment specifically. And so I cleaned up the script is what I did. And I created kind of more or less variables. So as we go through the script together here right now, you'll see where you can actually input your own variables to find your own stuff. Let me go ahead and start walking us through this particular script. Okay. Now up top here, you see I got these little hash marks. These are just comments. The machine is not going to read comments. These are for human consumption primarily. Just a little note from your friendly neighborhood instructor. Now, the first step that we always need to do before we start utilizing this script is we need to import the Active Directory modules. Now, the nice thing about using this particular ISE interface is we can actually select only one line of the PowerShell script and run only that one line. Now, PowerShell scripting can get as easy or as complex as you need it to be. So in this particular video, we're going to keep it pretty basic and pretty simple. Just in case you're not as familiar with scripting as maybe you want to be, this might serve as a good introduction to it as I give you these examples. So here's the really cool thing. In order to run the script, we just click in this little white space between the number and the first line of the script. And now you can do one of two things. You can come up here and you can click on this Run Selection button, this little green arrow with the page behind it, or you can just press F8. Now, of course, I'm a big keyboard shortcut guy, so I like to hit F8. And so now I have loaded up the Active Directory modules into PowerShell. So now I'm actually ready to utilize all the Active Directory stuff that we're going to be employing. All right, now next, we need to turn on the Active Directory recycling bin. And so here is the line of script that we are going to use to do that. Now there's a couple of modifications that you need to make for your environment. Of course, you already know that you need to make sure that all of your domain controllers are Server 2008 R2, right? We got that. Let's go ahead and scroll over here and I'll show you the variables I've kind of put in here. You see anything that's in all caps, those are things that I've put in specifically for you to change, okay? So actually I should probably just walk you right through this real quick. Enable AD optional feature, all right? Here's the identity and here's the item that we're turning on. The recycling bin, you notice that it has a distinguished name format. You don't have to memorize this because of course I put it in here for you. You can memorize it if you want to type all that stuff in manually. But again, I like to do things the easiest possible way. Here in this DC equals domain part, this is where we need to put in the name of our domain. Of course, what I'm using right here is Globomantics R2. And then I need to have this other DC equals variable that I need to fill in here. And of course, it's, there we go. And so I'm just going to type com because, not all caps, all lower caps. There we go. So DC equals Globomantics R2, DC equals com. That's probably a fairly familiar item for you to see. You'd probably use that on several times. Now there's one other variable that we need to change here real quick, which is the full domain.com or net or local, whatever yours happens to be. So I'm going to put in here Globomantics R2.com. So there's three items that you need to configure to use this script out of the box. Put in your domain, put in the .com, .local, .net, .biz, whatever your domain is, and then put in the full name here after the target. Okay, that's all you got to do in order to make this script work right out of the box. So now, in order to turn on the Active Directory recycling bin, in order to get that functionality. So I'm going to go ahead and select this line of code that I've modified, and I'm going to press F8 on my keyboard, and it's going to pop up with this confirmation notice. Are you sure you want to perform this action? Performing the operation enable on target recycle bin feature. Now look down here with me in the results pane, and you'll notice it's going to tell us here, enabling the recycling bin feature on this particular section of your domain is an irreversible action. You will not be able to disable the recycling bin feature on this if you proceed. Well, duh, that's fine. So let's go ahead and tell you guys. I don't know why we wouldn't, but now you're going to notice here that I've already turned this on. All right, as I was preparing for this and playing around with this particular tool, I've actually already turned on the recycling bin, so it's going to give me this error message. Now, I know, of course, you want to see what it's going to look like when the recycling bin actually does set up. All right, and let me go ahead and bring up this screenshot for you. It looks like nothing. Yeah, it literally looks like nothing has happened. It has, right? Because you just saw what the error message looks like when the Active Directory recycling bin has actually already occurred. But just so you know, I mean, it literally looks like nothing in the window. So I did want to show you this quick screen clip. Let's bounce back on over to our regular screen now. All right, so now that we've got that accomplished, and of course, you're going to get a different message when you run this on your actual network or your test network. If you're playing along at home on a test machine, of course, but it is kind of interesting to see what happens when you try to turn it on again. All right, so now that it is turned on, let's go ahead and before we get to this next line, which is use this line to get a user account back, let's go over to our server manager and let's go into Globomantics and let's go to our Pacific users and let's use the user that we created in the last video, Roger You There, the Are You There account. Ha ha ha, funny. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete Roger. Right? I'm just going to delete him right here. It's going to ask me if I'm sure I want to delete it. I'm going to tell it yes. And I know you might be sad right now, but don't be sad because don't worry, we're going to go back over here to our PowerShell. And what we're going to do is we're going to replace in our use this to get a user account back line where it says username here. Well, I'm going to put the username there, which is Roger You There. Now you notice that I'm not putting in the logon name, the Are You There, right? I'm going to put in the full display name. That's a critical key to making this thing work. All right, so I put in Roger You There. Now I'm going to select this line and I'm going to hit F8. And now let's go back over to the server manager. Now notice Roger is not here. Let's press F5 on the keyboard to refresh the screen. And look, Roger's back. Are you there, Roger? Yes, you are. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, that's another funny joke. Okay, so that's all you need to do in order to make this script work is simply fill in the username of the user that you want to undelete, select the line, and press F8. One quick note about this. You'll notice here that this particular line, I'm going to highlight this section. I want to talk to you about this just a little bit. Get-ADO object. What that does is actually goes and finds the object that you want to do something with. Then we turn on a filter. Then we're telling it, okay, I want you to filter by this display name where it equals Roger You There, whatever the username is, and we're including deleted objects in that search. Okay? Then, once we found that particular object, you notice here we have this little pipe. What that pipe does is it tells me, or it tells PowerShell, okay, I want you to do something else. I want you to take the results from this first command, and I want you to pipe them into this command, which is restore ADO object. So this particular line is actually doing two things. It's finding a user account by its display name. Okay, notice the display name here. In the deleted objects section, and then it turns around and restores that object. All right, let's go ahead and let's scroll down. Now that you have a little bit more understanding of what that line does, next what we're going to do is we're going to find information about a particular object, right? Now in order to do that, we need to go back and let's delete Roger again. All right, sorry Roger, are you there? No, you're not. Okay, so we're deleting Roger again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this line to find stuff. Okay, we're going to find out information about a deleted object next. So there's a couple of modifications that we need to do to this line before we can use it to find stuff. Now, this particular line is not going to restore it, all right? It can restore it, by the way, if you want to take this little section and copy and paste it to the end of this command. And maybe if we get wild and fancy, we'll do that later. But for right now, we just need to pay attention to the things that we need to modify in this one line to find out information about a deleted object. Now we have that same get-ADO object, but this time we're adding a search base option here. Okay, we're going to be searching the database specifically for deleted objects in a particular domain. So let's go ahead and in place of the domain name, remember anything in my scripts that you see it's all caps, chances are that's an item that I want you to modify. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put in here Globomantics R2 again, and then we're going to put in com because we're using globomanticsr2.com. And now we have this LDAP filter switch where we're actually going to be looking for an object name. Now again, we need to utilize Roger You There. We're going to include the deleted objects, And then we want its properties and its last known parent. Okay, what object did it belong to? What container was it in, if you will? That's what this particular guide does. All right, so I filled in my GlobalMantic R2, and then I filled in the item that I'm looking for. Let's go ahead and select this line and press F8. And it found it, A-OK, neat-o. So it tells me that this object is deleted. That's true. Here's the distinguished name as it exists right now. We have the Roger U there, a whole string of stuff, deleted objects, globalmanticsr2.com. The last known parent that Roger belonged to was Pacific Users. Okay, well, that's good. We knew that. Pay attention to that. We're going to use that after just a little bit, okay? It tells us the object class is a user, and then, of course, we have the GUID, the unique ID for this particular user. All right, so now what I can do is I can actually go back up here and use my prior script, and I could run this script if I wanted to in order to get Roger U there back. Now, if I wanted to shortcut real quick and not only just find it, I'm going to go ahead and copy this restore-ado object at the end. I'm going to, whoa, yep, here we go. Here, hang on now. There we go. And I'm going to append it right after last known parent in this particular. So we're going to find this stuff and we're going to restore it. Right? That's what we're doing. Right? So really, if you add restore object at the end, then what you're doing is basically doing the exact same thing as this one. This is kind of the short form, which is why I included it. And this one is a little bit longer form to do the same thing, although this particular line can also be used for other objects. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and select this one. Let's go ahead and hit F8. Let's go back to our server manager. Let's hit F5, and Roger, you are there. Beautiful. All right. Okay. So now let's talk about what happens if an organizational unit is deleted, and then how do we get stuff back from that. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a new organizational unit. We're going to put a user account in that organizational unit, in that container. We're going to delete the whole thing, and we're going to get it all back. So let's go ahead and right-click in the server manager. Let's go ahead and let's make a new organizational unit. And let's make one for engineers, okay? Engineers, there we go. Now, normally, I would keep this checked, protect container from accidental deletion. But if I do that, I won't be able to show you this technique. So I'm going to uncheck protect container from accidental deletion and tell it OK. Now let's go ahead and let's create a new engineer here real quick. Let's put in here a user coffee drinker. All right, so his logon name is going to be coffee drinker. And I know these are completely made up, but you know, it's more fun that way. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put a check mark here and use it, connect, change password. Password never expires. Not that I'm ever going to use this logon, because really we're only using this to find out how to bring users back when they have been deleted. Okay, so engineers has been created. A coffee drinker user has been created. Let's go back to our PowerShell script. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to, first of all, use our find stuff line. Let's go ahead and let's find out information. Oh, you know what we got to do first? Duh, we have to delete them, right? Well, you can't use that PowerShell script library for stuff that's not deleted. It's not going to make any sense. So I'm going to go ahead and select engineers. Let's go to Pacific Users. Go to engineers, and I'm just going to delete the engineers OU, as well as that's also going to delete coffee drinker in there, right? So let's go ahead and delete that. Object engineers contains other objects. Are you sure you want to delete object engineers and all of the objects? Yeah. Go ahead and delete them all. All right. So now back to our PowerShell script. What we're going to do next is we're going to find out information about a particular user. So we're going to find out about coffee drinker. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in our coffee drinker. And all the other items have been replaced and restored. Let's go ahead and take out that restore ADO object that we appended at the end there, because we don't want it to try to restore the object, because here's the thing. If I know that a particular user has been deleted, like Coffee Drinker, let's say that, Coffee Drinker calls me up and says, hey, Super Coach, you know what happened? I don't know what happened, but I can't log in, right? And you can't find his login. You go to Active Directory, Coffee Drinker doesn't exist. You try to do a search for him in the Active Directory Administrative Center, Coffee Drinker doesn't exist. You're like, that's not good, right? Which probably means that Coffee Drinker no longer exists. And if he doesn't exist because he's been deleted, then what that means is probably, there's a chance that the organizational unit has been deleted also. So let's go ahead and let's run Coffee Drinker. Let's go ahead and run this search for Coffee Drinker, and let's hit F8. There we go. All right, so here's the information for the Coffee Drinker account that was deleted. All right, CN equals Coffee Drinker. All right. Now, the last known parent is OU Engineers. Now, if Engineers has been deleted, yep, it's been deleted because we just deleted it, right? That means that we cannot restore Coffee Drinker until we restore the Engineers organizational unit. Got it? You cannot restore a user account if the OU that the user account belongs in is also deleted still. So let's bring back the organizational unit back first. Now, it just so happens that the very last line in my little script mini library here is designed to do just that. We're going to go ahead and get back that engineer's organizational unit by simply making one alteration. We're going to go ahead and put in here the name of the organizational unit. Again, anything that's in caps in my scripts, chances are you need to change that, right? So this one is very similar to the user account one, except we're using an LDAP filter. But we're still including deleted objects and the restore ADO object line, so that we're going to we're going to find stuff in the deleted objects, and we're also going to restore the object that got deleted. All right, so let's go ahead and let's select this line to get that OU back. Let's hit F8. Let's go back to Server Manager, and let's hit F5. And, oh, hey, look, engineers are back. Let's go into the engineers OU. Oh, wait, Coffee Drinker still missing. Okay, let's go back to our PowerShell, and now let's use the short form for getting our user accounts back. So we're going to go ahead and put in here Coffee Drinker. And we'll select the line, and we'll hit F8. Let's go back to Server Manager, hit F5 to refresh, and oh look, Coffee Drinker's back. All right. So I don't know about you, but I think that this little script library here, I think you're going to be able to get Active Directory recycling bin up running and fast because of all these scripts that I pre-built for you. And you'll get that clean version, by the way, with the course. So you'll know exactly what to do with that script now. So hopefully this little script library will be a good, solid starting point for you to, first of all, get to know the ISE. Because as you see, once you know the command lines that you're going to use early and often in PowerShell, what you can do is you can save a script file. Which, by the way, a script file, all it is just a text file. I don't want you to think that this particular script the script file is anything special. You could do the same thing in WordPad if you wanted to. It's just that in WordPad, you don't get to select a single line and hit F8 and it goes, right? So, I think this is going to help you out. You can start using this today, literally. As long as you have Server 2008 R2 functional levels up and running. Okay. All right, so after watching this video, you should be able to do several things. You should be able to identify the functional level of your Active Directory domain and, by the way, your forest. Remember, I showed you how to do that in the Active Directory Administrative Center. You should be able to install the PowerShell editor on a Server 2008 R2 machine. You should be able to activate the AD recycling bin using the mini library script that I built for you. You should be able to also restore an AD object using that script, as well. Now, I've shown you a couple of things. I showed you how to get user accounts back, but also I showed you how to get an OU back. I showed you how to search for which organizational unit that a user account belongs to, just in case the whole organizational unit got deleted. You'll need to restore that OU before you restore the user account. That's absolutely paramount. I don't want you to be mistaken. Just because a user account has been deleted, if the OU has also been deleted, you won't be able to get it back until that guy gets restored. So let's go ahead and let's call it a day for this one, and I'll see you in the next video.